Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talent Playbook, the HR podcast by Marg Business Transformation. I am Sudeshna, and today our guest is Rukmini for episode 10. Rukmini is with 2 decades of experience across diverse HR functions and diverse industries. She's quite an evangelist for culture, learning, and of course, talent. So currently the head of talent management and leadership development and rewards at SKF. Rukmini, please welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Sudeshna, for inviting me to the podcast. Very excited to be part of it.
Thank you. We are kind of like so much clutter around us. So in terms of talent, what do you see as the trends for 2026?
Sudeshna, what I would like to start with is the first trend that I see is, today from a talent management perspective, it is still a black box. So a trend for 2026 would be, when talent management becomes more actionable, it becomes more real, and it is very closely tied to business outcomes. So organizations today, and especially I'm talking about my organization, we are really working to make talent management a lot more broad-based, modular, and more actionable. So that's the first trend that I see. The second trend that I see is when we talk about talent management, it's not just about, how do we identify talent and how do we groom them and develop them into different roles for future. But we are also looking at how do we upskill and reskill our talent going forward. And what I see is this learning debt continues to increase. Today we don't talk about it, but really the learning debt is about what is a gap between the way or between in the pace of the change in work that we have today and how are employees being able to catch up to that pace. And what we see today is there is a gap. Organizations are evolving faster, the expectations are higher, and employees are always running to catch up. So that's the second thing. How do we tackle the learning debt? And this is something that organizations are also picking up. The third, of course, with AI coming in, it is about how are we building in or how are we integrating AI with the skills development piece. So it's not just a tool for automating tasks, it is actually becoming central to how we learn and adapt. And the third piece for me, which is very critical, and that's again a trend that I see, is how are organizations tying in the work that we do around talent management and learning to business outcomes. Yes. So those are the 4 things that I would like to see as trends coming up in 2026.
I guess, it is no longer a standalone something. We have to integrate everything to how business looking, how we can kind of attribute everything to the outcome which the business is desiring. And that's so
Absolutely.
True. And yes, that's so true. This requires a lot of changes to be done in the organization. So how are you architecting these changes in the organization?
One of the things that I would like to start with is I think SKF is already on the journey to becoming a skills-based organization. And this is a huge global project that we took up about a couple of years ago. And what does it really mean for us? It means that all conversations start with what are the skills that we need in the organization for the immediate present, and what do we need on a slightly midterm kind of a horizon, and where are we against that? So all our conversations today are starting to center around skills. And if I want to now look at what are we doing to embed those things, of course, we're not there yet, but some of the changes that we are bringing in is one is embedding micro learning in workflows. And when I say that, it's really about making learning more democratic, more accessible to people at the point in time that they need it. So learning is no longer, something which is just, classroom dependent. It's dependent on your managers. It's dependent on HR to, organize it for you. It is basically giving the power to employees that you need something right now, and here are the tools and platforms which you can use. So embedding this continuous micro learning. The second thing that we're architecting today is we're prioritizing certain critical skills over broad-based trainings. People love doing random, training opportunities because it's something that they like to do. But prioritizing what skills do we need in the organization to build and centering all our offerings around it, I think that is something that we've also started to do. Of course, AI is one of the big organization skills that Escape globally is, building, and therefore there is a lot of focus on upskilling with AI, looking at personalized learning paths, content which can be adapted, and real-time coaching, which is powered by AI. We're also looking to shift. And this is basically new ways of learning. So we're also looking to shift from formal classroom styles training, long journeys, to a lot more skills-based enablement. And I will also talk about how we will do this in a couple of minutes. But we are looking at how do we embed it into our daily work life. The fifth thing that we are doing to architect this change is to look at how we're measuring effectiveness. So I think where what HR is very comfortable in doing is to look at efficiency measures. For example, what's the immediate feedback on the training program? What is the NPS? How many people attended? What was the cost? For us, those are all efficiency measures. Effectiveness is how did I translate these learnings back into my work? Yes. And therefore, there is a close engagement between people and managers. We are also, and when we say that, so one of the big changes that we are making is empowering managers to be coaches. So manager as a coach is one of the areas that we are putting a lot of our efforts and energy into driving, because we believe that that's the fundamental relationship in an organization and the most powerful. So there can't be any other more powerful relationship within the organization.
Yeah.
A very interesting thing that we are doing, Sunanda and Sudeshna, and we will talk about it, is our whole concept about demand and supply, and that's what we are embedding in our talent management practice. So we have different levels of talent governance, and we call them talent councils, whether it's at a group level or it's at the region and the country level. And here we really talk about demand and supply in terms of what's the demand for skills and talent, and what do we have today. And all our talent management efforts and initiatives, etc., are centered around demand and supply. Okay. So so those are some of the things that we are doing, Sudeshna.
Leaders are tuned to that. How are you making the learning change, or the ways of embedding these things, and how do you think your leadership is taking that?
So a couple of things I would love to highlight, and one is the first way that we're embedding is we're making it digital first. And I spoke about making learning democratic, accessible. We have different learning platforms, and these are now embedded into people's daily lives. So, for example, if I am creating a presentation and I need some help, we have linked it to different courses which using AI. Those courses pop up, and there are AI prompts. There are. For example, we use Copilot a lot. So there are all these prompts and nudges which come immediately. So as I'm making the presentation, I have access to those tools. It just makes it more simpler. So digital first is our first way of embedding the learning architecture. The second thing which I've already spoken about is how are we embedding AI in our everyday work to augment the work that we do. We are also starting to pilot a lot of AR, VR. That's one of the areas that we are picking up from a region perspective. The third thing is, of course, I spoke about being more skills focused. So, again, a demand supply, what is the demand and where are we today? And we link this entire conversations through our talent councils to career pathways and opportunities. And that's where the manager coaching comes in very powerfully. The other way that we have embedded a new our new learning architecture is what we call learning shots, and these are delivered through, for example, we have group coaching, we have communities of practice, peer learning, multiple methodologies, like we use art, we use theater, we use master classes, which are short and sharp, and we use skill labs, which are only focused on building on practice. So you build a skill and you practice, you keep practicing. So those are some of the new ways of learning that we are embedding. And I see that, while of course certain longer journeys are useful for, certain kind of leadership development programs, but, what we have done is we have also looked at what is most effective. And therefore you will hardly see, journeys which are more than max 6 months, even if it's a leadership development intervention, it's max 6 months, because our whole focus is on bringing it back to work quickly.
Yeah.
We have also linked our learning and talent strategy to both current and future business strategy for the region. So it's extremely tightly linked. In business strategy, we know what we are going for, and we have tailored or customized our HR, our learning and talent strategy around that to make it happen. And what we have also provided or we provide to managers and employees are a lot of clean toolkits. You can just take that, you can use it, and it enables you to quickly roll out certain things that you want to. So again, getting the focus back to people rather than to process, rather than dependency on other functions.
Now a little bit of Rukmini, the person. So some rapid fire questions in the sense of what is the must-have skill for leaders today?
It was a lovely one that you've asked, Sudeshna. And for me, the most important skill, which is a must-have for leaders today, is sense making, which is the ability to interpret different signals, to connect the dots, and to turn them into, or to convert them into clear direction, actionables for the teams to execute. I think that sense making is a very critical skill that leaders must have today.
Absolutely. And in the VUCA world, it makes more sense.
Even more so now.
To sense making. Yes. And one skill you are betting for your organization?
So situational leadership is what I am betting on for my organization.
Toughest belief to unlearn?
Toughest belief to unlearn, I think is, which we faced is long training means better learning. So, if you give me a 3-day training thing, or 3-day learning journey, I would love it because obviously my learning will be more effective. But in reality, what we look for is contextual, the learning which the person can quickly reframe and apply back in. So for me, that's a myth that we have really worked hard to change or to demolish.
Worth it. I think it would be worth it for you in the long run.
Yes.
One overrated trend you see?
Gamification. I think, and while it's fun, and it creates engagement, but I think right now it's very easy to overuse it and to take away attention from what are we really building from an organization perspective, what skills are actually getting built, instead of keeping on giving people badges and points and etc. Again, fun things, but does it really lead to skill building?
Like, make it real.
Absolutely.
If culture had a smell, what would it be?
Oh, this is my favorite. I think I love coffee. So freshly brewed coffee, that would really be energizing, and it would build that. I would really build that. Be seen or feel as I'm part of a community, and it's quite addictive.
what would be your advice to your fellow HR leaders?
So I know that in this in today's environment, which is so volatile, my advice would be um, for each of us,
Mm-hmm.
we need to build resilience, and one of the ways that we can build resilience is to be really disciplined in our own prioritization. Otherwise, things can get overwhelming, and then we don't know what we are actually gunning for. So build resilience through prioritization, and very simply for me, that means do less, but do it better, and make sure it matters.
Thank you so much, Rukmini. The more and more I feel I know the HR function, know the HR leaders, but there are so many things to learn from all of you. And today I take away, the real way you're making things actually actionable and real, which you spoke about, and the ways and means, and you spoke with so much of passion with your with everything we heard about ruthless prioritization, resilience. It will definitely, I think, this function will make business results happen because it will become more actionable and real. Thank you, Rukmini.
Thank you very much, Sudeshna, for this opportunity. Have a good day.
Have a good day, Rukmini.
Bye bye.
Bye.